Hey there, Skullheads. I'm Snags.
And I'm old Silky.
And make sure to go to snagsandsilky.com. I say this every episode and you fuckers never do it, but I'm just going to keep saying it because I'm stubborn. Go to snagsandsilky.com, buy the merch, hit the store, follow us on YouTube and Spotify, recommend everything to your friends. Check out our ebook on there that we wrote about our year of living in an animal house after high school.
Year of living dangerously.
Yeah, under the pseudonym Cyrus Bunker.
And go to the ClickPit and check out the links because you can discover books to read, movies you should have seen, playlists for most of our episodes.
Whenever you're bored and you need something to read,
there.
You need something to read, watch, or listen to, just hit the ClickPit and browse through, man. Every time we do an episode, we drop links, except for we hate all the shit on this episode, so there might not be any links.
Now, there should be no links to this.
Yeah, usually we drop links of shit we've been talking about. So anyways, before we get into it, usually we talk about what's been going on lately, if there's anything been going on. So I'm going to start with me, and then Mike's got something to share, and then we'll get into the episode. But Saturday night, me and the wife are hanging out. She's starting to cook dinner. I'm chilling in what I call my skull cave, and I've got a movie fired up. I'm rewatching Leatherheads, George Clooney movie about 1920s professional football. Fucking hilarious.
That's one of his only good movies.
Yeah, he's got some good flicks, but it's basically him doing it. He directed it, and he's basically totally copying the Coen brothers style in that movie. It's a lot of fun though. So I'm watching that, and then suddenly all the lights in the house start flickering on and off. We start hearing loud banging and popping noises. We start smelling smoke, and so we shut down the breakers and grab the cat, put him in a little cat box, run outside the house, and call the fire department. And the cat's not happy because it's boiling hot, and he's in a little cat box.
Well, he's probably wanting to watch the movie with you.
Yeah, he's like, what about Leatherheads?
Yeah.
And so the fire department comes. They look at everything. They confirm the house isn't going to burn down. The smoke we were smelling, the microwave got zapped. But nothing's going to burn down. They said, call an electrician immediately. By then it's 10 o'clock in the evening. We find an electrician. If you need to get an electrician in your house at 10 in the evening, be prepared to pay through the fucking nose. Oh yeah, it was more than that, dude. When it was all over,
right?
But he comes out. He looks at everything. He's like, the amount of voltage you're getting from the power lines outside into your house is way over the limit. It's dangerous. I cannot turn this breaker, any of this stuff back on. He said, call Georgia Power and get them down here immediately. So we called Georgia Power.
God damn.
1 o'clock in the morning, we're in the living room, door open and everything, hot as fuck because there's no AC.
Yeah.
And just trying to stay awake. 1 o'clock in the morning, the Georgia Power guy gets here, checks all the lines coming from the street and everything. Fucking squirrels. Squirrels, dude.
Yep.
We're already up to $2,000, $3,000 worth of electrical repairs, replacing appliances.
Jesus Christ.
We got a house-wide surge protector now, though, at the connection.
Yeah, and that's good.
It's just, but that fucking, if I find that squirrel, I'm shooting him with my.
Well, dude, in Virginia Highlands, I used to deliver, DHL, and I had somebody on my route. Their house caught fire and burned down.
Yeah, we're lucky. We're very lucky that didn't happen.
Squirrels chewing through the lines.
Yeah.
It's like, what? And I don't know what you can do, to keep them from doing that. We just lost Mike.
You think they learned how to build electrical some kind of coating that metal casing or something that the squirrels can't chew through,
or a frequency, some sort of frequency that nobody hears but squirrels. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm being told that there's aluminum around, and they chew through the aluminum.
They like the aluminum.
So why don't they do steel? I mean, this isn't the whole subject of the podcast, but there's some improvements that could be made. Anyways, so Mike has a more positive story. Mike, why don't you drop your positive story?
Snags, old Silky, thanks so much for having me on. Love it.
Back again.
Rabid Mike. Yeah.
Been enjoying the last few episodes for sure that you guys have graced us with. First half of June, I got to spend it on a cruise up to Alaska. Absolutely amazing, inspiring. It is definitely, unlike the stuff we're going to talk about tonight, it is not overhyped, probably underhyped. Absolutely loved it. Spent a lot of time in nature, did a lot of hiking, saw a ton of bald eagles, got to see a bunch of whales, even saw a fairly small humpback whale jump up out of the water and do its flip thing, and a bunch of seals and sea lions and otters. Just great time. Out to nature with the family, always good.
Were you able to get that classic tail out of the water shot?
Yes, we got some of those. One of the excursions we did, this young man took us out on his boat to look for whales and other sea life, but he also had his partner in the back of the boat controlling a drone. So not only did we see a lot of stuff with the naked eye, we then got a nice little package of whales underwater, just under the surface of the water from the drone.
Wow.
That was included in the excursion, so that was pretty hot.
Were you able to harpoon any of them and roast up some blubber?
No, that's been frowned upon quite a bit.
Damn.
Internationally, even. I think only Japanese ignore that.
Yeah.
I guess it's not the 1850s anymore.
No,
man. You could have harvested whale oil and sold it for street lamps.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in Colorado Springs, there's a big street lamp oil underground market, but
I'm sure
big demand to fly above those criminal activities. But it was great fun, great seafood at all those stops too. Just halibut and crab that been out of the water for about 5-6 hours.
Now, did you eat that for the halibut?
No, I ate it because it tastes really good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is not Dad Joke Wednesday, motherfucker.
All right, you should see some of the dad jokes. We've got a little group text between the three of us, and Silky's dropping dad jokes in there all the fucking time.
Just for the halibut.
Yes. Yeah. I will say one fun story.
That's hysterical. I can't stop laughing.
I am someone who lives on some element of revenge or instant justice. We had a family who was also on our cruise steal a table from us at an outside area of this recommended seafood place in Prince Rupert, British Columbia. And as soon as their food came, we ended up sitting inside. As soon as their food came, torrential rain started. And this asshole was trying to eat his crab cake sandwich while holding an umbrella over his mother-in-law's head. Table. Yeah. So
that's hilarious.
Family. I hope everyone got pneumonia and his wife and he end up getting divorced over the inconvenience. Would be my perfect Sicilian Malocchio revenge.
Well, that's fantastic.
But on to the subject at hand, man. I had asked the guys about this one. It's kind of near and dear to my heart. I don't know if you've ever heard anyone talking socially about something out of pop culture, or even it might even be a famous chain restaurant or whatever, but something
or food. Yeah, some kind of food maybe.
But it could be a movie, could be a musical artist, could be a TV show that you really hate and you almost feel socially incapable of describing your level of dislike for this thing in front of someone who is in praise of it. So I kind of wanted to get a couple or at least one big one off my chest, and Snags and old Silky were nice enough to accommodate me, and I think have also done a little soul searching.
I got a fucking list, yo.
Yeah, so I might have put Snags on a spiral downward, but we'll see.
Fuck yeah.
When I made mine, my list here, I basically was shit I hate, but it does fall into your parameters, Mike. These are popular things that most people follow or part of in some way, and I just cannot get near them, you know. So
Great.
it does. I think it falls in line. You know?
I think that dog will hunt.
Good to know. All right,
So
Mike, take it away.
Yeah, so I'll do my first big one, and I've felt this way for a long time. And you, either one of you might even actually love this artist and his work, but for me, it's a gentleman born 9/23/49, 21 studio albums, currently with a net worth listed at $650 million. So I'll be clear, and I'm sure he and his fans really don't give a shit what I think, but I got to get this one off my chest. And this is none other than Bruce the Boss Springsteen. Cannot stand it, never could, don't get it, half-assed, 3 guitarists on stage, strumming guitars, not even a riff ever really.
Seems like he's got a fucking piece of ham stuck in his throat.
Yeah, I just have never gotten it. And he's massively popular. I worked with a guy in Tennessee years ago that had the cover of one of his albums tattooed on his right calf. I mean, massive fan, had seen him like 5 times live. And he's got millions of fans like that. I have just absolutely never given a shit.
The lyrics
are boring. The lyrics are boring.
He's got a handful of songs.
57 channels and nothing on. That's sheer poetry. What are you talking about?
He's got a handful of songs I like, but not enough to like, you know. I tried. I was like, let me check his, and a lot of it, it's
just slow mumble.
Yeah, just rant. Like, what are you? I'm supposed to sing along to what is? You know?
I mean, if you put a gun in my head, I could probably come up with 10 good songs off of Nebraska and The Ghost of Tom Joad, which some of you will know are both basically solo acoustic albums. I can kind of get into those, but the E Street Band stuff, I hate it. The lyrics are bad and annoying. And I was forced to sit through this hundreds of times as a kid because it was a huge play on MTV as a video, Glory Days. It's basically the theme of that song is you're 21, you're never going to hit another home run or catch another home run football, touchdown football in high school, so kill yourself. Life's over. It's so ridiculous. If you're in your 20s, or in his case, when he wrote this song in his goddamn 40s, and you're pining over your junior year in high school, you go ahead and eat that bullet, my friend, because you've got jack shit in the next 20, 30 years of your life.
I thought that song was the guys coming out of a bar and runs into somebody that they went to high school with, and they go back in and start.
You guys know way more about this cat than I do. I know Born in the USA, 57 channels and nothing on.
See, I don't know that.
And that's about it. Just
that was a timely song, that 57 channels bullshit. That was right before it exploded and we all had like 300 channels. I've never seen a song date itself badly. It
was just on the radio for a while back when
that song aged like cheese out in the sun.
But all this shit about this album and that album.
Like the guy.
Yeah, I've thought about trying to marathon his shit because everybody likes him, and I like Dylan, but it's not. And I've never been able to even make myself do that. And you're confirming everything I pretty much assumed about him.
Well, he doesn't touch Dylan. One of the things I love about Bob Dylan, and I've always Silky and I have talked about this at length, Dylan almost reminds me of a jazz artist who wants to work with different musicians frequently and has been able to pull it off. I mean, how different do his albums sound, even in the course of 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
And Silky's probably better at this chronologically, but one of his greats to me has always been Infidels, which almost gets into, I wouldn't say hard rock, but pretty good rock and stuff with Mark Knopfler on guitar.
Yeah.
And he goes from the band to something like that with Mark Knopfler. or the violin work in is that Blonde on Blonde?
Desire.
So
the thing about Dylan, and we will do a Dylan episode down the road, but a lot of people don't know is he's a major fucking plagiarist. If you search Bob Dylan plagiarism, he lifts, not as an homage, literally lifts passages out of people's books and shit, and it's not attributed. So, but he's a fucking brilliant, he's a brilliant, he's also a brilliant writer too. I mean, he does write a lot of, most of what he writes is him, but if you Google Bob Dylan plagiarism, there's more out there than you'd think.
Wow.
But he's brilliant.
I'm comparing him in terms of just this stalwart E Street band. Like I said, you've got three guitarists usually. They're all just playing chords. Not a riff to be heard. You've got the big black guy on saxophone. I don't even know his goddamn name.
Clarence Clemens.
People act like this guy is Sonny fucking Rollins. He plays the same, as far as I'm concerned, the same saxophone fills over and over again.
Okay.
I'd rather hear solos from the guy.
The one thing I want to add about Springsteen is he met the Ramones early in their career, and he actually wrote that song, Everyone's Got a Hungry Heart. He wrote that song for the Ramones.
He wrote a song with Patti Smith too.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another person that gets my adrenaline going in the highway.
I think Patti Smith is fucking awesome. What's up? All right, hold on. El Condor has to pimp the website. Come pimp the website. Come on, pimp the website.
Get the merch. I don't remember the name of it, but get that merch.
Shirts.
Snagsandsilky.com.
T-shirts.
Snagsandsilky.com.
Snagsandsilky.com. Get the stickers.
Boom.
Boom, boom, shakalaka. Thanks, kiddo.
All right.
Check in the mail.
Wait, I forgot to give you a McSlap.
Christ. One and get out of here. Go.
Bye.
He reminds me of Bud Melman from the old David Letterman show.
Yeah, you never know when he's going to pop up.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so we'll leave that one.
All right. So who's next? You want me to go next, and then we go to you, Silky?
I'll throw mine real quick.
Do it. Drop it.
Everybody is so hooked through the nose this time of year, and I'm just going to be very brief because I know we don't do this, but politics in general, global agendas, the media only wants you to know what they want you to hear. It's so obvious to me, and both sides are equally corrupt. It's just such a game. It's such a joke. And to me, all I've ever seen with politics is arguing. Everyone chooses sides, rips each other apart. I've actually lost friends because I don't vote. And I think it's a joke. I think it's all a lie. And that's the beauty of this country is we can all have opinions.
Oh, not anymore. It's not allowed.
Yeah. Apparently I'm not allowed. So top of my list of shit I hate, politics.
All right. I can agree with that one.
All
right. So I've got a bunch of things, but the first one I'll just drop, and we've mentioned it before, but it's an easy target. But there's some ones we've mentioned in previous episodes that have to be, if we're doing this episode, they just have to be mentioned.
Come up again.
Fucking Van Hagar.
Oh.
Fucking Van Halen without David Lee Roth, and they keep the same name. They call it Van Halen. What the fuck? I don't care if it's Eddie's last name. It's not the same band. You're going to go from Unchained to some shit that sounds like Journey, and you're going to keep calling it Van Halen? Fuck you.
Unchained fuck to Right Here, Right Now. Or,
ain't
come
talking
on, baby,
about
finish what you started.
Ain't talking about love to Why Can't This Be Love. That sums it all up right there.
Yeah, very soft.
And Sammy Hagar's voice sounds like melted cheese. No blues, no fucking Guts.
No, and when you first heard about it, you're thinking Montrose. This
Yeah,
is going to be
Montrose was
this is
apparently
gonna be-
all Ronnie Montrose because Sammy Hagar, he's got a few good solo songs, Heavy Metal
Yeah,
and
but
Three Lock
not-
Box,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's it. You know,
Yeah.
the fuck. And he didn't write any good songs for Van Halen. Van Hagar is what I call
Yeah,
him.
you had Van Hagar and then the Exhalen.
So
You
this actually
Yeah.
fascinates me, and I tend to agree. I certainly prefer the Diamond Dave years for sure. My question to you is this: did they ever talk about that? Did Alex and Eddie purposely want to go more, I guess, friendly
I know-
FM? What's the story there?
I will chime in here. They wanted Sammy Hagar from day one. Way back, they wanted Sammy Hagar, and
Well,
this was
Ted
their chance to
Templeman
finally get him.
Ted Templeman suggested Sammy Hagar. So if you read Ted Templeman's book,
Yeah,
he signed the band because of Eddie Van Halen. And
Yeah.
he really was very uncomfortable about whether Dave was going to be able to make it or not. Dave is the reason why Neil Bogart from Casablanca Records didn't sign them, was because of Dave. He tried to separate Dave out and Dave wouldn't leave. And so he passed on them. And then Ted Templeman signs them from Warner Brothers because of the guitar player. He's like, I got to get this guy under a record contract.
yeah,
And he was really not sure about Dave. He suggested, because in the way he described it was the band would be playing in the studio just on fire and Dave would be barking along. And he basically suggested they get Sammy Hagar because they all loved Montrose. The band kind of reminded him of Montrose. Apparently, Sammy had nothing to do with the sound of Montrose in retrospect, but Montrose fucking rocked. And so, but what slowly convinced Ted to keep Dave was, one, the lyrics. He was just started becoming very impressed with the lyrics. Dave writes amazing lyrics, and he confirmed that it was Dave, not anybody else, writing the lyrics.
Yeah.
And then also, Ted Templeman was in a band back in the 60s, and he was in a similar situation where he was a singer, but his voice wasn't pitch perfect all the time. And he remembered the producer working with him, doing multiple takes, taking the best out of each take and piecing together these great recorded performances. And when he remembered that, he started becoming impressed by Dave's lyrics. That's what he did. And Dave, any Van Halen song you hear on a studio album is going to be the best of like 10 different takes that Dave did.
Yeah, and if you listen to Dave singing, he's really vaudeville amping it. You know, he's just
he's the ultimate front man, and he's a fucking genius. If you read the book he wrote, Crazy from the Heat, or the book, it's a book that was written about him. He is equal. Him and Eddie are both geniuses on equal level. One being this kind of showman, frontman kind of guy, understanding song structure. Van Halen was a jam band before he joined.
Yeah, I don't think if you didn't have Dave, you probably
would not have been successful.
We would have never heard of them.
They were doing these 20-minute long versions of Cream and Groundhogs tunes and stuff, and he helped them structure their songs so that there were these just kick-ass fucking punch-in-the-face 3-minute home runs. And look at what happened in their songwriting after he left. But
and Mike, the other part of that question you asked, that's how that was the allure to Sammy. But the towards 1984 coming together, Eddie had really moved on from the guitar and really wanted to get into keyboards and stuff. And I think he purposely, they sold out. They purposely went a more poppier sound.
He was probably trying
their album sales skyrocketed.
Yeah. Well,
briefly.
Sammy has said, and that he said, people ask me why Van Halen's sound changed when I joined, and he has said, because that's the music they gave me. That's what Eddie was writing, and that's true.
Well, that does answer my question pretty well, because
Yeah.
he wanted to do,
Yeah.
you know. So, and I get that as someone who just plays the guitar. I certainly, as a hobbyist, for sure, I listen to all kinds of stuff when I make stuff up. I have a lot of stuff that isn't remotely heavy metal or hard rock that I make up. It's just, I think it's just what comes out of your head sometimes, even just horsing around as an amateur. And I could see, you know, and you guys probably know the exact dates, but I'm guessing 5150 comes out.
Yeah, it was about
he's been playing guitar at that point since he was 13 or so, right?
Yeah.
So close to 20 years.
Yeah.
I can see that as an artist / creative person. I get that. I definitely, I mean, I can digest some of the Hagar stuff, but the go-to is certainly the Diamond Dave years, even to the point of preferring a different kind of truth to anything Hagar did.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a return to form. That album kicks ass. Except for
that's
Tattoo.
got a bunch of stuff from their first demos on a different kind of tree.
Re-recorded, yeah. So
yeah.
So what I fucking forgot what I was going to say. I got to lay off the weed.
5150 came out in 86.
Okay. So yeah.
To answer your question.
Figure, and I don't know his exact birth date, but figure 66. I mean 1966, 67, 68. He starts playing guitar.
Yeah.
Years. And maybe you want to do some different things creatively. I do like a lot of the guitar work on those records.
Stand out. For sure.
I remember what I was going to say, though. If you listen to Sammy Hagar's solo stuff, a lot of it sounds just like Van Hagar. So he may claim that that's the music Eddie brought to him, but he clearly had an impact. Because if you listen to his solo records, a lot of it is pop metal.
Well, and I think the brothers were like, they probably liked his and wanted him work.
Yeah.
You know, so
let's do an album.
It's very different for sure. I mean, David Lee Roth lyrics were basically
badass,
slightly naughty things you would say to pick up a girl at a bar,
but poetic as shit.
Lyrics,
Been to the edge, stood there and looked down, lost a lot of friends there, baby, got no time to mess around. Sammy couldn't touch that with a fucking 10-foot pole ever.
Much more interesting, much funnier. I mean, Hot for Teacher is an amazing song from music and lyric standpoint. His lyrics in Hot for Teacher, that is timeless. I don't care if you went to high school in the 50s or like I did in the early 90s. You can relate to those lyrics. It's just classic, and also a little bit on the bawdy side, whereas I feel Hagar definitely, for the most part, was more like a Valentine you give to your sweetheart, which...
Well, Dave saying, I pulled the fellas out behind the bar and told them to tell you just how fine you are. That's hilarious to me.
Yeah.
You know?
So anyways, we could go on this one forever. Why don't we move on to Rabid Mike's next one?
My next one is one, since I've always been into a Western between my dad and my uncles, always into Western films. And I was probably about 10 or 11.
Western movies,
cowboy movies. I was probably 10 or 11 when I finally watched Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Now, I don't hate it to the extent that I hate Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, but it is not me remotely up to the hype. And this is why good films are so tricky, and I think the really great films are actually pretty rare. The music by Burt Bacharach, who I don't dislike generally, fits so poorly in that time period. It's so out of period that it just takes me completely out of it. I just literally will I'll mute my TV when those scenes come on, because the movie has a lot of other things to like about it. I mean, for God's sakes, the guy who played Lurch in the Addams Family takes a good kick to the fucking dick and balls, which you gotta enjoy.
Oh,
but,
sure.
You know, it just takes me out of it. And it happens a couple times throughout the film. And music, to me, is so important in film, because if it's bad,
It's jarring.
It
Takes you right out of the film.
I'll give you another good example. My daughter just read The Old Man and the Sea to wrap up her 9th grade year in high school.
Wow.
And she was asking if there was a movie about it. So I think for $2.99, we streamed The Old Man and the Sea with Spencer Tracy. I had seen, and I remembered and seeing it again, the music takes you right out of it. You know, that movie calls for, you know.
So it got like a bunch of James Brown on the soundtrack?
No, it's very orchestral and overly dramatic. You think hire some guy out of Havana playing a cheap little classical guitar, just laying down some simple lines like that, because that's where the character's from. I mean, that's the era. And it's like this orchestral and over bombastic shit, and it's brutal. And it can take you right out of a movie. And that's definitely one for me. I would say the music is just very ill-fitting for that, but that is a lot of people's favorite Western.
It's interesting, though. I think sometimes you can juxtapose music against something that wouldn't fit. Like if you look at the theme, the opening sequence for Boardwalk Empire, and you got Brian Jonestown Massacre, that guitar jam, and it really fits. It just depends.
I've not seen that, so I can't speak to it. I need to check that out.
You should watch that as soon as you can. It's
you haven't seen Boardwalk Empire, dude? Oh my fucking god. You don't know Steve Buscemi as an actor. Whatever you've seen and you think you've seen, you do not. Plus, it's just nonstop tits. It's got great writing. It's all about the gangsters in the 20s as they were coming up. Al Capone, Lucky Luciano.
Does it end better than The Sopranos?
Yeah, it's got a better ending. Yeah,
it's a definite ending.
Does it spend a season? Does Steve Buscemi's wife like rebuild an apartment complex? We got to go through 2 seasons of the contracting and the.
No, you've got to see. I've watched that whole series twice. It's fucking amazing.
I will check that out on your recommendation.
Yeah, it's very good.
When I did my little bit of Butch Cassidy research in my notes, one thing where I have been proven wrong, Quentin Tarantino manages to so carefully pick his songs that he has done songs out of era that absolutely
and it works. Yeah, it just depends.
Bowie in Inglourious Bastards in Berlin in 45 or 44, and it works.
One thing that old Silky and I disagree.
Hate that.
One thing that old Silky and I disagree on is Peaky Blinders, because they do that. They've got all this rock music in this show that's set in the 20s. I think it's fucking awesome. It's set in Birmingham. There's one episode where they're just blasting Sabbath, and these fucking thugs are, walking down the street with sawed-off shotguns ready to take some people out. Silky hated it. And one of the funny things is Silky was like, what if there was a movie about the Civil War and it had Slayer on the soundtrack? I was like, dude, that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, Gettysburg with fucking
raining blood.
Suicide Plan.
Tom Araya shouting over the Battle of Antietam. I can see it.
God,
I liked his use of "I've Got a Name" in Django. I thought that was incredible.
That was great. That's a great example.
Yeah.
So are you done with yours, Mike?
I mean, I've got a good list. I can do whatever.
No. We're rotating. So Butch Cassidy, we're done with, right?
Absolutely done with Butch Cassidy.
All right, okay. Silky.
I like that. I'm gonna have to rewatch Butch Cassidy to really
make sure you hate it.
Well, I don't recall the music being so jarring like that, but I bet it is. It makes sense. A lot of those late 60s movies just had this crazy orchestra shit. It is very distracting. I know what you're talking about. My second on this shit I hate is another hot topic. Basically religion. Another device.
You're really hitting on. You're hitting all the touchy shit. Politics, religion.
Shit I hate. I hate when I'm in a conversation and they want to bring this shit up. Oh, what are you doing Sunday? Fuck you! I'm not coming to your damn church. fuck off.
I stuck to music and movies and
well, this
TV.
is shit I hate, so this is what I'm doing.
I know. I happen to agree with you. I think religion's
another
a fucking
device to
con
divide
job.
people.
Yeah.
And again, if you're religious, do you, boo? Do it. Love it. Stay out of my yard. I'm spiritual. We all have our beliefs. At the end of the night, it's just us and our pillow. But you know, let people be who they are is all I'm saying. And so many people have died in the name of politics and religion. I just fucking hate it. I wish everyone in the world had the same thought process I do on these two topics, because
what was this thing? This thing I sent you cats in our little meme group. Let me read this. A church is trending online after they announced that they are selling plots of land in heaven for $100 per square meter. The pastor says he spoke to God and he was granted permission to do this. They've already collected thousands of dollars. So, that's the kind of con job bullshit. And I was raised by hippies, so I never had to deal with Christianity, but I have seen, Eastern religion up close, which a lot of people think, oh, that's different. No, it's not. It's the same con job bullshit. It's all, it's just different flavors of bullshit.
But anyways, how many kids have been molested by these bastards? It's just endless. It's endless. But so yeah, those are my first two hot topics. We don't have to say anything about it. I've ranted. Move on.
We usually stick to music, movies, and
I
TV.
do after this next one.
Okay, good.
Well, I will back
again. This is shit I hate.
Wait. I think Mike, since we did touch on religion, I want Mike to tell his story about the guy who God protected him from drinking the Red Bull or whatever. You got to tell that story, Mike.
Oh, God, that's a good story. Very long story short, and I'm not very religious, to put it mildly, and I don't want to get too far into your guys' podcast on that subject, as I also avoided very tastefully Mr. Springsting's politics, which is why I don't like
which are hypocritical as shit if you look at how he treats his employees. And
of course.
Anyways,
I didn't.
I'm going to contribute money to unions and then just not let my employees unionize. But anyways, so go ahead, Mike.
I was working with this guy briefly in an office situation. We had a meeting. He's all anxious. And long story short, this lady comes in who we hadn't met. Turns out it's his wife, very nice lady. And she brings this guy his cell phone. He had forgotten his cell phone. And of course, we're at a point in time where most of us use it during our work lives as well. So very nice. She came, interrupted the meeting. And then as we were about to actually get the meeting going, this guy did the whole brushes the back of his hand over his forehead like he'd been sweating it. And he goes, oh, I'm so lucky I didn't stop. I was going to get a soda pop or a Red Bull, and we're not supposed to be drinking any caffeine for our new church and all this. And he made the impression that God had stopped him from getting that.
So he didn't get caught by his wife drinking caffeine because God intervened.
Yes. And I just had to kind of shake my head, and I couldn't help myself. And I said, there's about 15 people in the room. I said, so you're telling me right now, in parts of Africa, children who were born there by a pure accident of fate are getting their limbs chopped off by guerrilla warriors. Hey, Jesus wants no part of that. But he got involved in your purchase of an energy drink. I said, do you understand how, if you think about that, that's the scariest shit anyone could possibly think, if that's how this operates.
Yeah. God's busy schedule. Oh, hang on.
He didn't get me, and he didn't get it. And that's why I agree.
Of course he didn't. Yeah, they're all brainwashed.
Because worse than religion, I mean, worse than politics, you could have a reasonable argument with a reasonable person about politics.
No, you can't.
It's doable. Religion to me is out the window, because the longer they've been in it too, the worse, because no one wants to admit they've believed nonsense all these years.
Yeah.
Right. Believing in the invisible man.
It's
So we've
So
covered
right.
covered the two topics, the two really hot topics of religion and politics. I'm going to bring it back to the subject of the podcast and talk about a TV show that has obsessive followers. I actually follow the Reddit thread on this TV show just to see what people are saying about it, because I tried to get into it for a while. Obsessive followers. People watch it over and over and over again. They debate about minutia and little details in this scene and that scene on the Reddit thread, and they just worship it like it's a masterpiece. And I like the guy behind it. I like some of his earlier stuff a lot, but I just do not fucking get Twin Peaks. I don't fucking
David Lynch.
get it. David Lynch was brilliant. Eraserhead, fucking brilliant. Blue Velvet, fucking brilliant. Pissed off my high school English teacher, which made me even love it even more. Great story. Dennis Hopper's fucking amazing in that. And Wild at Heart was fun. That was a good one. It was one of the first films to have thrash metal on the soundtrack. It's just a really good film. And then Lynch just kind of descended into this, well, I don't have to tell stories anymore. I'm just going to be weird for 90 minutes.
Be weird for no reason.
Yeah. And I think Mulholland Drive falls in that overrated category.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I saw the other day Mulholland Drive was on somebody's list of best film of the 90s.
What the fuck,
and
dude?
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That is such a bunch of ambiguity. There's a difference between ambiguity, which I don't mind, and
rambling. Just rambling.
Well, if you're going to watch Mulholland Drive, just watch LA Confidential and shut the fuck up.
Yeah. That's the best movie.
Right. Well, one has if you're going to watch Mulholland Drive, take LA Confidential and get somebody to randomly splice it back together so it doesn't make sense. But and the thing is that Inland Empire, Lost Highway, he just went down the slope, and Twin Peaks Twin Peaks was the beginning of that in my mind, of him I just fucking be weird for no reason.
Just be weird for no reason, no connection, no.
It's just I couldn't. I kept, I just couldn't get through it. I tried. I don't fucking get it.
We never watched it. Like, we watched, when it first came on.
Yeah.
You watched the first couple weeks, but it was like, what is even happening? Then there was a movie, then back to the TV. It was
When was they did a sequel series recently?
The
more nonsense.
Show was what, 92, 93?
It was like 90. It was early fucking 90s. Early 90s.
I remember seeing it in passing. My mom watching it, and she was pretty addicted to it. And I certainly knew who he was, and I'd already seen all of his older films, which I absolutely love. Blue Velvet is amazing. It's just tremendous film. I even like the first Dune and what he brought to it. It's not a great movie, but I think some of his vision for it was pretty cool, and he put together a great cast. I think the studio boned him on that a little bit. But my point being that as recently as 2005, I was on a little bit of a break after a surgery, and I had a buddy who had Twin Peaks, like everything they'd done up to that point, on DVD, and I said, hey, can I borrow it? I want to revisit that. And I'm with you, it just went fucking nowhere.
And it had 3 seasons. It started in 1990, and everybody each week, you couldn't wait to see, and it just never it ran out of gas for me. I just gave up. I didn't care anymore, And
I really tried.
So I really like Kyle MacLachlan in general, and I just couldn't.
I think it's so important telling a story to make your viewers or your readers, however they're getting the story, to care about the characters. And
it's called putting effort into it instead of assuming, hey man, I'm so brilliant, I can just fucking be weird for 90 minutes or 60 minutes. And it's brilliant, man. I think it's a case of somebody starting to believe their own hype to the point where they think they don't have to try anymore.
That's exactly it. There's a scene early, it might even be the first episode Kyle MacLachlan walks into an office and there's just this moose head on the table, and they don't say anything about it, and it's funny. And I remember our sense of humor. We were like, "Oh, that's great. There's just a moose head there," and they don't. But that was like the basis of the whole show. Just let's have a midget walk down a hallway that's checkerboarded, and it'll mean something. And it's all just abstract bizarreness.
Yeah,
I'm too old for that now. I just give me a good story that I can, escape my miserable existence. And, you know what I mean? Give me a fucking respite here and let me.
Yeah, I get it. All right, so let's move on. Who's next? We're back to Mike.
Next. Oh, I'm sorry. You just did yours. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For me, this is another one. A lot of people love it, and not only do I not like it, but the films it was up against in '94, the fact that it won Best Picture is a crime, and that's Forrest Gump. I don't like that movie.
I agree. Run, Forrest, run!
I do not like it. Wow. I remember
life is a box of chocolates.
Before I saw Forrest Gump, in one weekend, I saw Pulp Fiction twice.
Yeah,
and I got Shawshank Redemption, which I've been looking forward to because I love the book so much.
Shawshank's amazing.
I would be hard pressed to say which film should have won Best Picture between Pulp Fiction and Shawshank. That's a tough one. Forrest Gump to me, just not even in the same realm.
The minute Forrest Gump,
too silly. Yeah, I just don't get it. I'll never see it again. I forced myself to watch it a second time, and I'm just like, how is this comparing to Shawshank, which is probably top 5 book to film adaptations I've ever read and seen. I mean, it's just brilliantly adapted, great acting all around, good soundtrack that worked. And then, of course, you have Pulp Fiction, which, really, for his second film, blew Tarantino up. In my mind, the only director to come out from that point on who has mattered. My top directors are older than him. I don't know of any since him that I give that much of a shit about. There's a couple who've had some good ones. But when Tarantino retires, it's almost over.
And we'll have an episode about that down the line called The Death of Cinema. But the minute Forrest Gump, and I hadn't even seen it yet, beat Pulp Fiction for Best Picture, and I was watching that Oscar ceremony live, as back when you could watch the Oscars without all the political ranting.
Right.
I hated Forrest Gump, and I hadn't even seen it yet. And when I finally saw it, it confirmed. I was like, this is fucking stupid. What the fuck?
I liked Forrest Gump in almost like the old like a play where the guy's sitting in downtown or Main Street of a small town, and it's like a fairy tale. So it plays out like that, and then it's just all these humorous connections, and I think people just enjoyed it as an escape. With all the music and everything. But if you take it too seriously, you can pick it apart. I get that.
Well,
it's fucking stupid.
If I may, let me just throw out some other films of that year. And I'll just mention ones that I think are better and more rewatchable. In fact, one of my favorite films, I forgot what year it was exactly. So we're talking about released in '94. The Oscars, of course, were in late winter of '95. Legends of the Fall, in my opinion, is a tremendous.
That's an amazing movie.
Wyatt Earp, to me, is a pretty good movie. Maybe not great.
I didn't like that when Tombstone shuts that whole thing down.
Right. I think Tombstone came out just a little bit before.
Legends of the Fall was '94.
You had Stargate, which is a great action film.
We saw that in the theater.
You had Leon or The Professional, which is an amazing film.
The
with,
Professional. With Natalie Portman when she was a kid.
Should have been ahead of anything Forrest Gump status, in my opinion. The Crow, more rewatchable to me than fucking. I rewatched The Crow recently. I enjoy that. I think it's aged pretty well. The Getaway with Alec Baldwin, Kim Basinger, not a bad remake.
Yeah,
there's better.
You shouldn't remake The Getaway though. Fuck that.
No,
fuck you.
No, you
Burn
shouldn't
that
remake any. Thank God they haven't remade The Great Escape.
They replaced fucking Steve McQueen with Alec Baldwin. Fuck you. I'm not even going to see that out of anger.
Yes.
I'll tell you this, if you want, so if Forrest Gump was supposed to be this heartfelt, semi-light, I don't know, fun, innocent movie, Angels in the Outfield to me is more rewatchable than fucking Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump was profound and filled with nuggets of wisdom.
Disclosure with Michael Douglas was a good movie, kind of ahead of its time.
I remember that one. Yeah.
You know, there's just some other good films, and but you had, and I'm gonna look. I don't mean to leave too much dead air. Didn't
that's dead air.
Pulp Fiction came out.
There it is.
When did
spit it out?
Fucking Gabriel Byrne, Kevin Spacey, Usual Suspects.
I don't know, but that was a brilliant fucking flick.
Yeah, I'm
an idiot if it's not 94, and it's probably not. But I don't know. I just don't like Forrest Gump. I'm not that
I'm with you.
Hanks, frankly, as far as his batting average. That to me would be one of his worst films. I mean, I'm not kidding. I would absolutely watch Joe versus the Volcano first.
Usual Suspects was 95.
Okay,
there you go. You had to cleanse the palate from Forrest Gump somehow. So
but I'm sorry, Shawshank and Pulp Fiction are just.
Well, Shawshank is just phenomenal. It's a great short story, a hell of a movie.
It was one of those ones too, and I know Silky is our resident Stephen King fanatic. That was one where people, when you told them he wrote that book, they were like, "You did?"
Frank Darabont did that one and The Green Mile, and those are both epic King adaptations. Probably still the best King adaptations.
And speaking of the connection, Tom Hanks in The Green Mile, much better performance in The Green Mile, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
much more interesting story.
So
that's my next one.
My next one, I had to lighten it up, and people all seem to love raisins.
Here we go again.
Fucking hate raisins.
Music, movies, books, TV shows. No,
let's do a show called "Killing Sacred Cows" about shit you hate.
So religion, politics, and raisins.
Yeah, fucking, I'll fight somebody. 5
fucking
years
hilarious.
Old,
what's next? Toe cheese.
My mother would make oatmeal with raisins in it. I'd pick the raisins out, set them on the windowsill behind the curtain. In my memory, when the summer came and the windows got opened, she made me pick all these melted raisins off the windowsill and eat them. But I can't prove that.
That's gross, dude.
But they're just fucking hideous. I don't know how anyone eats this shit. So I had to lighten it up. So that was my and then my next choices are music and everything. So
all right. So my next choice fits right in with the music. Theoretically, although I think it's terrible music, whatever they created in this era. Fucking reunion, post-reunion era Kiss.
Oh,
Kiss
God.
Gets back together in 96. Me and Silky drove up to New Orleans and saw them, and they came to Atlanta. We saw them in Atlanta. It's fucking amazing. Ace and Peter are back in the band. They do an album. We're looking forward to that. It sucks. Of course, the only good song on there is Ace's song, What's New?
And Peter doesn't play on the whole album or something like that.
No, the only song Peter was allowed to play on was Ace's song. Into the Void is Peter on drums.
Wow.
Anyways, and then to make it matters worse, then, they're not getting along with Ace and Peter again. So they hire these jackasses to wear their makeup and spend the next 24 years touring as Kiss with jackasses fucking pretending to be Ace and Peter, and all these fuckers, these old fuckers with no, mostly old fuckers, although there's some younger people that have fallen for it too, basically no life, who live in their mother's basement, fucking buying Sonic Boom and whatever Monster, whatever these albums they recorded, and going to see them on their Kiss cruises and their tours, and in the last few years going to see basically almost completely lip synced concerts because Paul Stanley's too old to fucking sing anymore.
Yeah, he can't. They had a controversy on YouTube, I guess.
Look up Paul Stanley lip syncing on YouTube. There's plenty of examples where they catch him doing. Anyways, just terrible. They should have broken up after the reunion tour and saved themselves a little bit of dignity. It's just a horrific excuse for a band. And I remember back when I was on Twitter, which I got off of because people suck. But when I was on Twitter, and I followed some Kiss accounts, Kiss fan accounts and stuff, I remember some guy, there was some Tommy Thayer, somebody I followed responded to a Tommy Thayer post, right? So I chimed in, basically dissing Tommy Thayer and saying, praising Ace. So if Tommy even fucking probably doesn't even look at his responses, but if he did, he would have seen that. And this dude who was a Kiss fan account that I followed, he replied and said, "Hey man, that's not cool. It's all part of the movement, man. It's all part of Kiss is a way of life. It's all part of the movement."
Sure. Yeah.
And then I just replied something like, "Says the guy who obviously lives in his mother's basement."
Right. Well, it's exactly the after Dio leaves Sabbath and they get Tony Martin. There's 5 albums.
It's not Sabbath.
It's not.
Yeah.
And if those albums had been viewed as Tony Iommi solo albums, they would have a lot more respect, I think. But there's these Tony Martin people that the first thing out of their mouth is, "It's all Sabbath, everything's Sabbath. If it's got Tony, it's Sabbath." No, man.
No, and I can eat a lot of shit from a band, but I think, and I was like Kiss when I was much younger because my brother had a lot of the records.
Yeah.
And when you're 9, I mean, those first 5, 6 covers are just, you have to listen to it. It's half the battle right there. And then I remember when I got deep into heavy metal, I was like, Kiss sucks, and they're too much of this bullshit with the makeup, even the old stuff. Now I've come around in my middle years here as I approach my middle years. I do enjoy the music. I think the music actually deserves more credit from the first 5 or 6 albums.
Yeah, those from 74 to 78, those are just good records. When you get into that whole thing with these characters and you're just going to replace them and have other people wear the makeup.
Yeah.
I just think at some point you'd been better off, A, no makeup, B, better songs, but also maybe just do this, reissue stuff, put out product. But if they're taking on the Barnum P.T. Barnum thing. Just think when you get to the point, if you
name on it and somebody will buy it.
They should have.
That's unacceptable to me. And I'm young enough or old enough to remember Milli Vanilli had major hits. And when it came out that they didn't sing any of it, they were done overnight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the fact that a lot of people now accept lip syncing at the
Motley Crue's been lip syncing their tour. It's just garbage.
People accept that Super Bowl halftime shows basically lip sync bullshit.
Oh yeah,
that's why some people won't do it.
All these divas,
Motley Crue, Kiss.
Yeah,
I just have no time for it whatsoever.
Yeah. Anyways, that's mine. What's what do you got, Mike? What you got?
I think my next one that I'm super passionate about, I'm gonna have to hit movie again, and that will be Titanic.
Thank you. Horrible.
I gotta say, I'm not the world's biggest James Cameron fan in the first place. I think he's highly overrated in and of himself.
I did just watch Aliens, and that is phenomenal.
Probably his best work.
Still amazing.
Titanic, to shove down my throat this made-up, half-ass love story.
Yeah.
When there were so many really interesting people on that boat for real.
Yes.
I think is absolutely shocking. Now, it's not his
all
fault
their faces.
that wreck hunters, shipwreck hunters, have found out since that film came out that the ship itself was made rather poorly, and that's the real story behind the whole thing. I don't know if you guys know this, but they discovered that if it had been properly made, it would have broken that goddamn fucking ice up the way you could crush one of those Snoopy slush machine slushes. I mean, it's stupid. They cut costs, and that iceberg just ripped the whole.
Wait, are you saying Boeing made the Titanic?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Some of the partitions didn't go all the way up to seal each section, and so when the hull was compromised, the water just filled up each section and slowly pulled it down, and the boat actually snapped in half, and then at that point the whole thing's going down.
Yeah, and again, they didn't know that yet, but there were so many real life interesting people on there that certainly could have filled the time or told, to me, a more interesting story. And it's such a lot of dramatic female perspective of it too. This guy lays pipe once, and she is still thinking about this in her old dotage.
Yeah.
Look, I'm only 47. I couldn't tell you the names of half the girls I balled when I worked out on the beach. It's dumb. Yeah. DiCaprio's worst work, terribly uninteresting.
Well, and then to the whole movie is I'm on this giant floating piece of the ship. Sorry, there's no room for you. And
it got too
stupid. Garbage.
And I remember being halfway through that, and I'm sitting with my girlfriend at the time, thinking, well, we must be getting it on later because this is an act of service to sit through this.
Yes, to sit through this. Yeah.
The only thing, the way the wreck itself was filmed is pretty brilliant and dramatic. But other than that, I've only seen it the one time.
You got to tell us how the evening ended. Did you get repaid for your patience?
Oh, there was a hand job involved for sure.
Oh, there you go.
I didn't get thrown off a massive floating piece of debris so I could drown in freezing water. I can tell you that.
No, there's a 1958 movie called Titanic that has the guy that killed Natalie Woods.
Robert Wagner.
Robert Wagner is in it.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but that's really almost a blueprint of James Cameron's version, where it's just.
Oh, you mean he borrowed heavily off it, kind of like he stole the whole idea for Terminator from Harlan Ellison?
Yes. Yeah.
So this creative mastermind in Hollywood is just a hacky motherfucker.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there is a really good Titanic movie, and I cannot recall the name of it, but the cover art is a night shot of the Titanic, and it is a really good.
Oh, that's A Night to Remember.
Thank you. I thought that's what it was.
There's also Raise the Titanic, a very poorly made version of Clive Cussler's tremendous action novel.
So when was A Night to Remember made?
I'm gonna guess in the 30s. I'm looking it up right now.
Okay, yeah, you
that's a good Titanic flick. I'll have to check that out.
6 degrees of separation. Oh wait, hold on. No, there's an older one though.
Yeah,
this is saying 1958.
Was A Night to Remember?
Yes, but there's an older version.
Yeah. There's I forget the one that has the Natalie Wood killer.
There it is. 1942. No, that's a mystery comedy. There's an older one I know.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. So
Anyway.
Titanic sucked. I get it.
I think it's unwatchable, way overhyped.
I could deal with it. I like the big ships out in the ocean sinking, but I totally get the kind of overhyped romance story fucking dragging it down.
Kate Winslet full frontal, which is nice.
Yeah.
But
All right. So who's next? Silky?
I think I am. So
what do you got?
Big one here, or not the big one, but one of them, REM.
Here we go.
Oh,
high school.
I knew this was going to be on his list.
Preppy assholes. Everybody in Atlanta. We lived in Atlanta, so you couldn't go see a cover band and not hear this whiny fucking horse shit. Tiny happy Pete, shut the fuck up. I just, the bits that I like on the REM, all their albums, the quiet moment before the song starts, in between each song. I didn't mind anyone in the band until they all met each other. But, Dennis Leary said it best. Michael Stipe, I got 2 words for you, Steven Tyler. And I hate this band so much. They continue to follow me. You'll be in a restaurant and everybody heard, shut the fuck up. I just hate them. I violently hate them. I can prove it on an Etch-a-Sketch.
This has been and the funny thing is, the first time I met Silky, he's wearing an REM t-shirt. He had an REM t-shirt.
Knowing who they were.
Yeah.
And then we went somewhere and I'm like, oh my God. It was because somebody had given me the shirt and I liked
back in high school. He's like 15 or 16.
Yeah, so. It was like a kickstand or like a bike.
Yeah, it's like a little, yeah. I remember that t-shirt. A lot of people had it.
Like a cool drawing, but I did not know that it was the same band. So the band I thought it was someone else.
He thought it was REM Speedwagon. So
yeah, sure. There you go.
This guy has consistently hated REM the whole time I've known him, and it's hilarious. I really like the IRS years, everything they did on IRS, and then when it gets into the shiny happy people, stand in the place where you live, I got nothing for it. Right. But it's been a running joke, and that's why I was laughing while he was going through his little routine there. It's hilarious. I actually really appreciate the pure hatred. It's just very sincere. I dig it. And it's funny.
I can't compromise. I think I will hate them. Now, I have come around to liking Van Morrison, and for some reason I didn't like him.
You didn't like the Clash. I had to convince you to like the Clash.
I got into the Clash. Yeah. Mainly with the Clash, it was, we're punk. And I'm like, that's not punk. And I wouldn't, you just wouldn't, And I
sent you there's a documentary called Westway to the World I had on DVD, and I think I mailed that to you.
Yeah.
And you watched that, and
I said, all right, I'm going to watch this so that I can know what I'm talking about when I tell them how awful. And I just it sucked me in, and
Clash are fucking brilliant.
A huge moment with the Clash, and was reading that Black Flag book. I actually read 2 of them, but one of them, you realize that punk is not just spiked hair and play as fast as you can.
3 chords, yeah.
Punk is like you get up and do spoken word country, or
the Minutemen is punk. Fucking Hank 3 is punk. Hank
3 is tremendous.
Yeah,
but so that's.
I got to add to Silky's REM. My sister's about 8 years older than I am, so was into REM pretty early. End of the World as You Know It, all that shit. Kind of big on MTV. Never liked it. And then when they hit big with Shiny Happy People and Losing My Religion, I had just, right around that time, I did my deep dive into Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax,
So all this the whiny shit with the mandolins wasn't doing it for
him. And then of course reinvested in all of those bands' roots, Maiden, Priest, Sabbath, of course, Motorhead, and I just had no goddamn time for it. To me, it was low energy,
whiny.
And that's the best way to describe them. Low energy, whiny lyrics they thought were too cool for the room, important, and I just had no fucking time for it. And Peter Buck is a goddamn clown.
I really appreciated the IRS years, but they consciously, when they got signed to Warner Brothers and Green came out, they consciously changed their sound, trying to do more upbeat, happy, poppy shit. Like, and what is this Stand in the Place Where You Live?
Oh my God.
I remember I got the Green album, and it was during that year where we lived in the Animal House that's documented in the book Sink or Swim that you fuckers need to go buy off our website. Hilarious book. But it was during that year I get Green on cassette, and I remember listening to it. And there's those albums. The Elder was another one of those where you're trying to convince yourself it's good because you like what the band did before.
This is good.
It's good, man. This is good.
Oh yeah. I spent 6 months trying to tell myself that the Phantom Menace was Citizen Kane, but eventually came out of my coma.
Yeah. Right.
No, the only REM song I have any time for might be Orange Crush. I kind of like that song.
That's got a good guitar riff, but the silence before the song, Silky is going to say, is brilliant.
If REM was an animal, I would veer off the road and run it the fuck over. So
there you go.
They pretty much went away, right? Did they just kind of dissolve?
Yeah, their albums.
The drummer had a brain aneurysm or something.
He didn't die. He just quit. He had a brain aneurysm. He got better, but he was like, "I'm a millionaire. What am I doing touring the world?"
I think he's my favorite member of the band.
Yeah,
he's like, I could just be hanging out in my farm, chilling. Why am I doing this? So they went ahead as a trio for a while. Their songs got less and less played on the radio. They played out their contract with Warner Brothers and then quit, basically. But
well, Silky's note about the drummer reminds me of a great Bill Hicks joke. Bill Hicks said once, "Who's your favorite?" Somebody asked him, "Who's your favorite new kid on the block?" And he said, "The first one that dies."
That's hilarious.
I love it.
All right, so my next one is and I just got to give you a little context for this. There's this Chinese restaurant I go to for lunch on a regular basis. And the food, I go there because the food is awesome and it's affordable. And so it's one of my mainstays. You get out of the office, you go somewhere, you eat lunch. And the only downside about it is they always have a TV blaring in the background. And so I'm going to lunch usually sometime between 11 and 2 o'clock. And there was always a TV blaring in the background. And it was always, it kind of drains your energy. You just want to relax after, working your ass off for the first half of the day. And eventually I realized, I can fucking bring earbuds in and listen to jazz. Well, because I'll eat and then I'll read a Kindle book or something. So now I just bring earbuds in. I'll listen to like John Coltrane or something while I'm reading. And the TV is just not a factor. But before that was the case, every now and then I would stumble in and there was this show on and I could not, and it's immensely popular. And it's a bunch of middle-aged women bitching about politics.
Oh my God.
And that's it.
Yeah. Don't say the name.
The View. It's called The View. And you go in and it's just nonstop bitching about politics from start to end, and that's it. And they have commercials in between. And somehow this is amazingly popular.
These are women who don't get dick.
Apparently, they don't get anything that they like because they're in
the only reason they're on that show.
Really bad mood. And they're always ranting about politics. And we don't have to spend any more time on this than we already have.
Yeah, please.
But I had to put it on the list. That was fucking horrible.
All right, Mike.
I could only add that I only saw The View once in a doctor's waiting room. And this would have been, I don't even remember the bitches who were on it. I remember Rosie O'Donnell was still on it and Barbara Walters was on it. And
Let me guess, were they bitching about politics?
They were bitching about politics.
Yeah.
And it was post 9/11. And I remember at that point deciding I was going to root for the Taliban. If this could be on TV and somebody's watching it, the culture left me behind.
In this cancel
or
culture,
I left the culture behind.
Whoopi Goldberg comes out that the Jews weren't that wasn't really a racial war, the World War II. She some comment like that what happened to her race was far more oppressive than
it does make you
shy
think,
away from all that.
It does make you think women maybe shouldn't be voting. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay. And this was a point at which Snags and Silky podcast got canceled by Spotify.
No, no one's listening.
That's our only saving grace.
My next one kind of ties in with my first one. I can't stand John Cougar Mellencamp, Johnny Cougar,
whatever the fuck he's calling himself these days.
Low energy, half-assed, wants to have one foot in old country, one new foot in slightly poppier territory. Frankly, I think is a purposeful mark of a lot of the E Street Band shit. I fucking hate him. And since we've talked about doing this subject, I saw a recent video, I think from within the last 6 months, where he just berated his crowd.
Oh, really?
And I'm just like, and people were walking out.
Good. If you're going to listen to John Cougar, just put on Bob Seger and be done. You know?
Just don't like him.
So much better. If you're going to do
early Bob Seger, Bob Seger.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the Dodge truck commercials. I'm talking about the good years pre-82. That's good Americana rock and roll. Heartfelt. Fuck John Cougar.
I remember I worked in the film industry briefly, and I remember somebody telling me they worked on a film that John Cougar was acting in, John Mellencamp, I guess. And it's like some indie film. They'd gotten John Mellencamp to act in it, and this guy was on the crew. He said that John Mellencamp was just a fucking douchebag, just being an asshole to everybody.
Wow.
And he's supposed to be, Midwest middle class hero. It's like
Mr. Approachable. Bob Seger. Give me some Bob Seger.
Yeah. All right, next.
What I hate is Victorian romance movies. Pompous ass hats and powdered wigs lording over everyone. Women with their tits pushed up to their chins, which is fine. But if there's no vampires, then fuck off. That's all I got to say on that.
Yeah, usually pretty fucking boring.
Just like saw your leg off,
Yeah. And the time you have to even be exposed to it is because your wife is watching it.
Yeah.
If you switch over to my wife's Amazon Prime account, like half of the recommendations is Victorian romance.
Yes. Fucking why? What, horrible. Anyway, go ahead, Snags.
Pearl Jam. Fuck Pearl Jam.
That's all you got to say.
Next.
Can we in unison on a 1,
2, 3.
Next.
Fuck Pearl Jam. Let's try it again. 1, 2, 3.
Fuck
Pearl Jam. Next.
Right. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I will tell you, Pearl Jam, I saw them live at a little place in St. Petersburg right before the videos were first on MTV. Nobody knew who they were.
They played
I saw them by accident.
They played a club in Atlanta.
Was excited that, oh my gosh, I'm really like ground floor on this band.
Right.
10 is a great record. I don't think since then
No.
you could find me 10 songs from the rest of their catalog
Nope.
to make a new record.
No.
One
10,
and
10
done.
was a good. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one of my biggest pet peeves, outside of the music, I don't mind if some of the songs are a little political or have a message, social message in air quotes.
Stop telling your fans what to think.
Not telling your fans what to think or do, but at some point, if you want to put yourself up as Eddie Vedder had, as this great intellect, you've got, if you're in that position, you've got to defend your points publicly against somebody with the opposite views.
Mhm.
None of them will do this. He is certainly not the only one who doesn't do this. But when they don't do that, they're bitches. They don't have the intellect to have a debate about it.
No.
It's usually unfactual, feelings-based nonsense.
Well, it's emotional
It's
rhetoric.
emotional. They have
and
no data to back it up.
They're
I
not
won't even
in
get into the
reality.
issues.
They're not in our reality.
Yeah,
You know?
I don't need some rich fucker. I think the last time I looked it up when he was trying to tell me what to think, I was like, who is this man of the people? How much is he worth? It was like $81 million. I don't need some fucker with $81 million while I struggle to go to work every day to pay the bills telling me what to fucking think. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Play music if I like your music. And good for you for making the money, by the way. I don't begrudge anybody being successful, but don't preach to me about what's right for me when you're sitting on your fucking yacht, hanging out with your pet friend Joey Ramone, who, by the way, has the opposite political views of you and disrespects everything.
He wants.
What the fuck is wrong with these people? Shut the fuck up.
I think it was about 2 years ago, some random fan, and I don't know if it was Tom Morello or Zach De La Rocha, was having his say about some bullshit on Twitter, and it was he made some anti-capitalist screed, and some random person on Twitter responded and said, "Hey, I just looked it up. Would you confirm or deny? The internet says your net worth right now is $18 million."
Yeah,
what are you talking about? And he didn't respond, and I think he left Twitter.
Yeah,
and
he's
some of these idiots
tweeting that on his capitalist-made Apple iPhone while he's flying in his capitalist-made Learjet, sipping his capitalist-made Starbucks latte. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I just have no tolerance for it.
Right.
Especially like I said, if you won't
his 12-year-old sex slaves that he bought.
Yeah. But dude, they can so easily set up a debate for charity.
Oh my God, I'd watch that.
I don't want to get too political, but
I'm done with people. I think we've crossed the brink of getting political on this episode.
It's just so stupid.
All right. What's next? What do we got next? Who's next?
I'll fire off. This is a two-parter: The Matrix and John Wick.
Wait a minute. I think I did Pearl Jam. I think Rabid Mike is next.
Oh yeah.
I will see the old Silky. I think I'm kind of at my nadir here.
Okay.
All right. So The Matrix and John Wick. You got goth slow-mo. Give a fuck. It's boring. I tried to watch the first one. I had access.
Which one are we talking about? Matrix or John Wick?
Okay. Matrix. I had access to that first movie for years and would randomly attempt to watch it, and I fell asleep every time. Certain science fiction is really interesting, and then the next one is god awful, and there's no rhyme or reason. It's just, I think the director's ability to tell a story. I thought The Matrix was terrible, and they made 2 more movies, and these people worship it like it's fucking Star Trek. And then John Wick, 4 fucking movies, really? And there's an offshoot coming. They shot your dog, fuck off. I just don't care. No story, just a bunch of bad kung fu. I just don't. So yeah, I do like Keanu Reeves. I like him as a person. I like what I've read about him. But The Matrix and John Wick, you can keep all of that. So
all right. So let's see. Mike, you got anything, or you want me to go next?
I think maybe my next one, and she's another one that you hear too much about what she thinks, but on top of that, I just think is aged very poorly as an artist, and that's fucking Cher. I mean, I know
Cher was ever any good?
I mean, well, she's beloved.
She's back before her hardcore rock and roll days.
And I just think, other than a couple of cute singles she did with Sonny Bono 1,000 years ago, I don't know what the fuck she's doing.
But that's about it.
I mean, I just have no time for it. I do not understand the obsession.
No, if you could turn back time.
Yeah.
There you go. Gene Simmons hit that back in the day. Just want to loop back around to the Kiss.
I love him.
Yeah, her and him and every other movie producer in that town. Okay, let's not get ourselves.
Yeah,
Greg Allman was hitting it too.
She was spread around like a goat skin wine flask at a Blue Oyster Cult concert.
She was the Village Bicycle.
Everything but the Titanic.
Village Bicycle, yeah.
She eats corn the long way.
There you go. All right, so I'm gonna go next. It's a new order we got here because we skipped somebody at one point, but House of the fucking Dragon. House of the Dragon is Game of Thrones with no tits and no story.
No story.
And again, I've said this before, the holy grail of entertainment is if you got good writing and tits, that's it's like amazing. And House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones fit that description. House of the Dragon is politically correct era, woke, we can't show tits because that's exploitative. And by the way, we don't really need a story. We need
so season 2 is kicked up, and how far into it are you?
Second, I'm watching it with the wife, and I'm on the second episode now. There was brief tits in the second episode in a harem scene, and
I can see tits anywhere. I don't care about that.
I know, but I'm just saying
the story just garbage.
When you look at all around entertainment,
there's nothing there.
Yeah, I'm watching it with the wife because she likes it, but I just it's not, and I'm I my little sarcastic comments come up every now and then. It's not the same. And story-wise, the storytelling in the first one, if we're going to stick to the substantial stuff, was
Game
amazing.
Of Thrones was amazing.
Amazing storytelling.
Yeah.
And this is just, you killed my son. Now I'm going to kill your son. And then before that, I don't even remember what happened the previous season.
Right. Because it's all, yeah.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
House of the Dragon.
I might watch that when it's finally done because I'm not waiting week.
You won't get all the way through it.
No, I don't expect to. I hated the first season.
All right. Next.
Kirsten Dunst. She looks the way bad cheese smells. She ruined the first Spider-Man movie. Everybody loved that movie. I hated it. Kirsten Dunst to this day skeezes me out.
Oh, Renee Zellweger is my Kirsten Dunst. What the?
Really?
Why do people find her attractive? She's a little scrunched up fucking rodent face. I'd
throw some baby batter at her. But Kirsten Dunst is just filthy, greasy hair, horrible.
All right,
that's all I gotta say about that.
Mike, what do you got?
I'll dig deep here and connects to the Titanic. I think unbelievably overrated and helped do that awful song for the movie Titanic, and that's Celine Dion. I got no time for.
Well, that's an easy target. I mean, Taylor Swift. We could go through those real easy,
I find that brutal.
Britney Spears. All that shit sucks.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but Britney Spears, I could at least
She had some integrity. No, she didn't.
Well,
dude.
no,
it's the same thing.
But you can at least have a little fantasy time with Britney Spears. Celine Dion's just brutal.
There was some soundtrack was on at work, and we all have our chance to play playlists, and somebody had something, and I don't know what soundtrack it was, but it was definitely Celine Dion, just the one song that it could be from the Titanic, but she is just caterwauling, and I'm like, what in the blue hell are we? What is this? God, it's horrific. and I've seen her as she gets older. She looks like a gray, and
An alien.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really strange. I got nothing for her.
All right. Who's next then? Silky, or is it my turn? I think it's your turn. Go, Silky.
Okay. So my next one is kind of a
Oh no, wait! You did Kirsten Dunst. Let me chime in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fucking post Under the Bridge, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh yeah.
What
there
the
goes
fuck?
My last one. Go ahead.
What the fuck happened to that band? I mean, you had this frat rock band from the 80s. Fucking
No Chump Love Sucka.
No Chump Love Sucka, Fight Like a Brave, Freaky Styley. It was punk funk at its best. They were.
I want to party on your pussy,
baby. There's so many. There's so many bands that tried the punk funk thing, and nobody could really nail it down. Faith No More, I got a little bit of it.
I'd say the Beastie Boys a little bit, but that was it.
Yeah, more kind of hip hop. Yeah. Beastie Boys with they really nailed it with fucking you know what I'm talking about.
You're right.
No. What is it? Sabotage.
Yeah.
But anyways, Chili Peppers had that shit down. The first album's a little shaky, but Freaky Styley, fucking Uplift Mofo Party Plan, even Mother's Milk with the first album with Frusciante and what's his name?
That EP.
Will Ferrell on drums.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell looking motherfucker on drums. Yeah. And they fucking rocked. And then fucking Anthony Kiedis was a heroin addict, and he got all upset because his friend, the original guitar player, Hillel Slovak, died of a heroin overdose. And so one day, Anthony Kiedis found himself under a bridge trying to buy drugs. And everything dawned on him, this profound realization, and he wrote this horrible song called Under the Bridge. And basically, they did this album, Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic, which is the beginning of the end. They got some good stuff on there that fucking kicks ass, and then some stuff where it's just starting to get
too long. There are too many songs on it.
Starting to get sentimental and shit. Yeah. And Under the Bridge is this big hit, the ballad off of there, and they were able to buy yachts and ranches in New Zealand and shit. And every album since then has been 10 songs trying to rewrite Under the Bridge, and that's it. That's all they do now.
That's it.
They rewrite Under the Bridge over and over and over again on every fucking album. And they suck. And for some reason, when they last came to Atlanta, they played the fucking baseball stadium. Who's going to see these guys? Who is listening to this shit?
Yeah, it's so bad.
It's horrible.
The betrayal is just as horrific as Def Leppard after 87. Every song has to slow down and tone on.
Yeah.
Just fucking slide under a gas truck and taste your own blood.
I ran across some live concert of theirs on TV about 5 years ago, back when I still was dumb enough to have DirecTV, which is a horrible service, by the way. Yeah. It's my anti-commercial for DirecTV. But anyways, it was some live show of theirs, and the people that were there were like yuppies with really bad, trendy haircuts, like they're trying too hard. Really goofy looking yuppie people. And I was like, who are these people that are listening to this band? Do they even realize what this band once was?
Yeah, it's not, they're not there for the music. They're there
of all the bands we've shit on, I have a little more use for their later catalog, but not much more. There's a couple songs I like.
I do think, buddy in the sky, California, I'm from California.
In terms of bass playing,
Flea used to be a badass bass player.
I just think to this day, with his current output, Les Claypool just puts him in the fucking dirt.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Flea during the pandemic.
I know what you're gonna say.
Online, he discovers Deep Purple
on Twitter.
On Twitter, and he's like, "Who knew Deep Purple?" And I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, you know what? Go fuck yourself. Get out of my fucking life.
He's recommending to his followers, check out Deep Purple. They're actually really good. This is 2021.
Yeah. And you're
Dude,
a
where
musician.
the fuck have you been?
You're
Where
just
the fuck
getting around to Deep Purple. And
well, the thing that would annoy me about that is here you are, a professional musician who's been a millionaire for 20 years. You have the free time we'd all love to have.
You have the free time.
Music.
But if you're gonna play music with a blues bass and you're into this funk stuff, at some point you're gonna get into Chuck Berry and then the Beatles and the Stones, and then it's just a natural progression to discover Black Sabbath and Deep Purple. Holy shit! It's so quick. It's something you should have discovered 30 fucking years ago. But if I suddenly stumble onto the Beatles, I might call Snags up and go, dude, how have I missed this band? I'm not going online and telling my fan base I'm a complete jackass.
That's pretty much the admission at that point.
Oh, it's just horrific.
All right, next.
So they're dead to me.
Enough about them. Yeah. What's next?
Mine was a kind of a broad thing, but sports. While I still like a good football game or sports documentary, I could give a fuck about these damned pampered diva millionaires, controversies left and right. This one, gun shooting at a bar. So it's just ruined it. And I just I don't keep up with people's names anymore and who's doing and their stats. This guy ran forever. I just could give a fuck. I just don't care.
I went through a phase where all I would watch was Georgia State college football and basketball, because in college sports, it's about the sports.
Yeah.
And they're not as good as the professionals,
but it's the magic of the game.
It's about the sports. And I've since then started following Atlanta United again, watching some professional soccer. But you basically have, and the way I describe it is, evil billionaire owners and spoiled millionaire athletes.
Yeah, I can't. I just can't.
It's a real turnoff. I don't need to hear. And it's the same thing. I want to watch sports to see a good game. I don't want to hear your opinion on shit.
No,
I don't want you telling me what to do or think. I don't want, and I don't need to see you getting, fucking busted for beating your girlfriend or whatever.
That's all I'm saying. And then the sports shows that are so popular, what we got to do is throw the ball, and then we got to catch the ball, and we got to get down the field. Fuck off, man. That's the game. I don't need to hear it.
No, I was going to say, I think I was at that point. My favorite's always been baseball, but I've followed more or less all of it up to a point. But what I did, I realized my bigger problem was really the sports media. And as much as 24-hour media, whether it's news or sports news, ruined it because they have to fill the time.
Yeah.
And it gets absolutely inane and pointless. So what I've done, and I've done this specifically with baseball, which again is always my favorite, I have an app. I'm not going to pimp it or say who it is or even how much it costs. But bottom line is, I can listen to any baseball game live on my phone, and I can pick the teams, whichever team I want, their home broadcasters.
Uh-huh.
And that's great for two reasons. They're rooting for the team I'm rooting for too, which is fun.
Right. Sure.
They never, I've been doing this now for 3 years. I have not heard one political social commentary from any of these guys.
That's great.
And they also, what they do get into, and I think this is true of all these pro sports, and there's a lot of meatheads who do dumb shit. They get into more things of, hey, this pitcher just spent the afternoon at a local baseball camp on his day off that brought all the local high schools together, and he did a pitching clinic for 3 hours for free. Or these infielders from the Cincinnati Reds went to Cincinnati Children's Hospital and signed shit and gave out T-shirts at a hospital. There's a lot of that goes on too. Yeah. I think things like ESPN and Fox Sports, when it got to that kind of stuff, it just focused all on the bad stuff. I don't know if the average football player is more statistically likely to get a DUI than the rest of us. I'm not sure why that's any of my business, particularly.
It's sensationalism. If you read a book, for a while, I was really fascinated with the 1970s Oakland Raiders, and I've read a couple books about them. You read those books and the kind of shit they were up to, and it wasn't getting reported. I mean, everybody knew they were kind of badasses, but doing cocaine off strippers' tits the night before the game, going out there hungover, that shit was not being reported.
No, you know, that guy on the Pirates, Nomo, that pitched
tripping on acid. He pitched a no-hitter while tripping on acid.
So, I mean, for me, I still love baseball, and I'm not going to let their nonsense ruin it per se.
Yeah.
The money's out of hand, but that's a whole other story. But no, I found that long term, I have more disgust for the sports media than the sports itself.
Yeah, I think that's
for sure.
I think that's where that's what I mean. I just can't. I can't do it. And these, you know, you're at work and people get in these conversations. They bring up some sports thing, and I'm like, okay, you know, I just don't even chime in. You know.
Sure, I dig it.
All right. Am I next or are you next? So
yeah.
I got three more left.
I only have one more. I've got one more.
So. Why don't I go then?
Yeah.
So there's this director, and back in the mid 90s, I'm real involved with the local film scene here, and everybody's raving about this new version of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet that's by this really innovative director. This is like 1996. Right. Amazing. You got to see it. And so I go see it. I think I watched it on video, and it's fucking horrible. It's jump cut after jump cut after jump cut to the point where you're feeling nauseous.
Yeah, and all glossy.
And this is supposedly brilliant directing. And then you know, close to 20 years later, I run across on streaming The Great Gatsby. I hear that was a classic novel. Oh, there's a movie, The Great Gatsby. I put that on. And I realized, oh my God, this is that same horrible director. he can't hold a shot longer than 3 seconds, and he's jumping all over the place like an MTV music video director on cocaine.
Yeah, I think he's trying to emulate Natural Born Killers or something. It's very
the idiot's name is Baz Luhrmann, and I did not do him the dignity of watching him ruin Elvis's life by
that's horrific,
making a movie about Elvis. But apparently, I hear he's defaced Elvis's name.
It's awful. What it is a like just exactly what you're describing. It's a montage of Elvis moments, and there's a scene where he goes down to Beale Street, and it's supposed to be 1954, and he's going down there to see Jackie Wilson, and as he's rolling through looking for a parking spot, they're playing fucking Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, it's just the guy's an idiot.
What the fuck?
The guy's a complete fucking tool, and people think he's brilliant for some reason. Baz Luhrmann. Look up Baz Luhrmann on Wikipedia. Make a note of every movie he's made and avoid them like the plague.
The only one I ever saw was Moulin Rouge. It's terrible. It's terrible. Never dealt with him again. And when I saw, first off, the preview for Elvis horrified me. And when I saw it was him, I was like, I'd rather light money on fucking fire.
Yeah, well, I watched it because it was on HBO and I was home that day, and I'm like, well, let me just see how awful this was. And it was horrific.
I actually think that actor has an interesting future ahead of him, but I'll never see
the actor killed it. He knocked it out of the park. He looked like Elvis. I was like, wow. But I don't know how he'll ever work again. I don't.
Well, no,
people loved it. Everybody thought it was amazing. All these idiots that watch The View and that listen to all these other bands we were talking about. They thought this guy was brilliant. And there's enough of these masses of idiots out there that guy will surely get more work.
And Rabid Mike can chime in on this. People want to be spoon-fed. They want to be told what to like. They want to be told how to listen to it, where to find it, and they want to also be told to stop listening to it. So they're so quick to hear, oh, we don't listen to that anymore. So then oh yeah, I hated them. You know, that's their whole. That's the whole span.
That's the mass of humanity for sure.
Yeah.
No
all right. Who's Mike? You got anything?
This is my absolute last one. This has been a fun episode. I actually just thought of this because I'd been thinking about it off and on, not in relation to this podcast, but I had a lot of people hype up Yellowstone to me.
Oh wow, I love that show.
And I got to tell you, and I'm a pretty big Kevin Costner fan. Like, he's probably been in several of my, if I were to write a list of my favorite 100 movies off the top of my head, he's in 5 to 10 of them. I mean, I think
I don't like him, but I like that show.
I thought that show had so many holes and so much sensationalistic bullshit that to me just doesn't ring true. And I found it incredibly unrealistic to be happening in our current day and age. I mean, I could talk about it for at least 45 minutes, which neither one of you want. I finished season 4. I was told not to even bother with the one with Harrison Ford, so I won't.
Oh, that's good, great.
Dude,
and I think I watched the first 3 episodes of the one with Faith Hill and Tim McGraw.
Oh, that's great too. 1883.
Oh, damn, are you serious? Dude, I took that DVD out and I put in Rio Bravo and had a blast. That shit sucked. Faith Hill,
man, I loved
Faith Hill. Is that some of the worst acting since Fast Acting to Nactin? Wow. That's terrible. I'm so tired. You know,
that's why this is a Sacred Cows episode.
You're
going to hate my last one, Silky. I'm going to piss you off.
I would rarely tell a young person. I would rarely want to squash any young person's dream, even as adults, if you know it's borderline impossible. You know what's about borderline impossible? If you don't have an in the entertainment industry, you're not getting in.
Yeah.
I've seen some videos on YouTube that show who these people's parents are, some of them.
Mm.
It's a majority of any major star in the last 20 years had an in.
Oh, yeah, they've gridlocked.
And it's and by the way, the exceptions are rare, and usually they're pretty good. Hint, hint, Quentin Tarantino.
Mm-hmm.
No ins that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
It's brutal. And the other thing is, rather than go out, and we could talk about this ruining Star Wars too, as far as I'm concerned, rather than going out and finding some fresh faces.
Let's get Laura Dern and we'll make her hair purple.
We'll make Laura Dern's hair purple. We'll throw Benicio del Toro in for a meaningless role.
Yeah.
No reason to bring him into it other than, oh, you're Benicio del Toro fan? You should check out Star Wars. You know, are you a woman who normally wouldn't watch a Western? Well, Faith Hill's in this one. I hate it. I'm done. I won't watch any more Yellowstone. Apparently, Kevin Costner's not even going to do it anymore.
No, so he's out of season 5. They filmed half of season 5, and his character is kind of crucial to continue. I don't know what they're going to do.
I'm over.
Yeah,
example.
They had a falling out. So,
I'll give you a quick example. Rip Wheeler, great character, right?
Yeah.
Rip, great character, fun, kind of exciting. You know who his dad is?
Yeah, Wings Hauser.
Wings Hauser. You know who Wings Hauser's grandfather was?
No.
Adolf Hitler?
One of the Warner Brothers.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Shit.
I'm going to move out to Hollywood and bust tables at Spago and get my big break. No, you're not, motherfucker. You better make that living at Spago's, bitch.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
I have to say, I like Taylor Sheridan. I liked, by his own admission, the way he describes the plot for Yellowstone is, I want your land. No, you can't have my land. And that's basically the plot. So I get it. But I liked it. I have to say, I've seen all the seasons that have been released so far. Towards the end, it did start feeling like a little bit of a fucking soap opera.
Repetition, yeah.
Yeah. And I hated Tulsa King.
I'm looking forward to Kevin Costner's westerns that he's the buzz is pretty big. So I do enjoy a well-told western. So
no, fuck me. That comes out Friday.
Yeah. And then the second one is in August, I think.
Yeah. So we'll see. I will probably go see that in the theater. My question is, what percentage of Americans are going to go see a 3-hour Western right now in the movie theater?
I don't know, but I mean,
that's that's an episode I think we're going to do in a few weeks.
That Western,
coming from the guy who made Waterworld and The Postman, it could be fucking horrible though. He doesn't have a perfect track record.
I think he's learned.
We'll see.
I'm just interested in seeing it on the big screen for the grandiose Western.
The only person who can get my ass to a theater these days is Quentin Tarantino, and that'll be my last theater experience. Will be his last movie, and then that'll be it.
I would have liked to have seen the Godzilla -1 in the theater because it's really good. If you have HBO Max, you need to check that out.
Godzilla -1. I thought you said it was on Netflix.
Oh, maybe it is on Netflix. You're right. It's on Netflix.
I'm not going to subscribe to Netflix just for that one movie. It'll eventually come on one of the others. I've got one left.
Go ahead.
You have one left. Mike, do you have any left?
No. I'm spent.
All right. So is yours a big one, Silky? Like go out with a bang kind of thing?
No, mine's quick.
Do yours and then I'll do mine. Okay. I'll piss you off. I'll piss probably both of you off with mine.
Mine is rom-coms. Why?
Oh, romantic comedies.
Unrealistic, sensitive stud gets annoying, sexy bitch. Zero nudity. The only funny guy in the movie is downplayed as quirky and odd. Then some god-awful thin-ass argument in the third act to build tension. And then they finally get back together. Shocker. Dumb. Fuck all these rom-coms. Worthless.
All right.
I'm with you. That's where Sandler lost me. He should have absolutely stuck with immature sophomore
Waterboy. Yeah.
And when he went serious where it was funny, but it also got sentimental, he did that a lot too. And those to me just got unwatchable.
Well, and he's doing it with the same actress. It's either the little girl from E.T. I just forgot her.
Drew Barrymore. Yeah.
There's another one. She had no end into the business.
Yeah, right.
It's either Drew Barrymore or the girl from Friends. I'm batting
Look it up. Also the daughter of some big shots out there.
Yeah. It's the same. He acts with the same actress, and it's really the same movie. They just changed the title.
Yeah.
Garbage.
All right, so we'll end the episode. I'll probably piss you both off with this one. Fucking overrated actor, the biggest overrated actor on the planet, Sylvester Stallone. Yo, Adrian.
I'm not.
Every fucking thing he does, sounds like he's. And I don't mean any offense to like. The only good role he did was when he played the deaf cop, because then the way he talks fit the role. But everything else, that was the only good movie he's ever done. And I tried. I really like Taylor Sheridan. I do agree that Yellowstone kind of dissipated towards the end. I tried to watch Tulsa King and I just couldn't take it, man. The guy cannot fucking act.
He's going to space. He takes me out of it now. He looks too cartoonish.
Yeah. What the fuck did you just say, dude?
His filmography is unbelievably thin.
Yeah, he doesn't even equal Schwarzenegger Chuck
In
Norris.
terms of rewatchable, he doesn't touch Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
But I love First Blood is phenomenal. I enjoy the message in a lot of the Rocky films. So keep going, don't give up, kind of thing. But it's been hit or miss. The rest of the things he's done,
Everything is Yo Adrian, over and over and over again. It's just him saying Yo Adrian in a different way. Yo Adrian. I just
All
can't.
right.
I can't fucking do it.
We're gonna
That's
get
a pretty
somebody.
funny impersonation.
Yeah.
No,
It's
I
spot
will
on. I thought Sly.
You
had
thought he was on the podcast.
Yeah.
Look, I will tell you,
2 hours of this shit, guys.
Yeah, we didn't wrap it
I'm
up.
looking at his filmography right now. Off the top of my head, watchable that I'm looking at. First Blood, which is really more drama than action, and I think
First Blood's a great movie. I could watch that.
It was a good, I believe, a respectful tip of the hat to the Vietnam vets, which was much.
That was a great movie.
Copland is great. One of his better films. Stood neck to neck with a lot of other really good actors.
And just so you know, when that came out, he held a press conference saying he's only going to do serious drama from now on. And then like a year later, he's back to making Meathead stupid.
Yeah,
because no one's going to cast him in a serious drama unless he's playing a deaf cop.
Well, he's had to pay for it himself.
Yeah.
The Expendables are fun, but they're kind of like John Wick. Okay, then they're done that.
Yeah,
I would watch Cobra.
Escape Plan's first one was a odd script. I was like, well, this is different. But then he's made 3 more.
Yeah.
He's the king of these sequels. It's fucking.
Yeah. I mean, Rocky 3 should have been the last one.
Yeah.
I've seen those just too many times.
Rocky 4 is dreadful. It's so bad.
That's such a bunch of
Rocky 5 is trash.
That's such a bunch of fucking, Ronald Reagan rah bullshit. Rocky 4.
Yeah.
And he's made some real stinkers. So anyway.
Oh yeah. His Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, and
he's the Bruce Springsteen of actors. I think we started and ended this episode really solidly with two bookends there that they match each other.
I can wrap that up. Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here.
We've ranted about all the shit we hate for 2 hours. Anybody who stuck around the whole time, you got what you asked for. We're gonna warn them in the description. Listen. Listen at your own risk.
The takeaway is I hate raisins and REM.
There you go.
And fuck Pearl Jam.
There you go. All right, Mike. This was your baby, your brainchild. Why don't you drop us some final words?
Oh, man, if you're a Boss fan, fuck yourself and die of eye cancer. I'm out.
Peace out, everybody.
Deuces.